Welcome back to Fast Market here on the TD Ameritrade Network. Let's bring in our next guest for our hashtag segment, and that's going to be Landon Swan, the co-founder of LikeFolio. Welcome back to the show, Landon.
Thank you, Tom. Good to be here.
All right. Happy Monday to you. And Dick's Sporting Goods, over the last 10 months, this stock has more than doubled. This stock hit $63 a share last May. We've had a pretty good run. What kind of data are you guys seeing on a LikeFolio ahead of earnings?
Yeah, I mean, this stock is, it's doing really well. It's a little bit off of 1-year highs, and you know what? It's actually not that far from all-time highs, 3-year highs. So it's doing really well, and I think that translates into very high expectations. I mean, that's kind of basics. That's basic investing there. High prices mean higher expectations. So in order for us to be bullish on it from here, we've got to think that expectations are going to be beat. And that's actually not what we're seeing. So we're seeing decent data from Dick's Sporting Goods, but nothing that tells us that they're going to surpass very high expectations. So when you look at, for example, purchase intent, it is pretty much flat for the quarter that's being reported, and for the quarter that's ongoing now, which for them is February through April, they're about a month off standard accounting. We're seeing that the current quarter pace, which would equate to guidance on a call, at down about 6% on a year-over-year basis. So, we think that they've held the line mostly. They may be losing a little steam right now in the current quarter, but the one that's being reported is likely a good quarter, nothing great, but I don't know that it's going to justify the relatively high stock price right now. And one of the things that we like to look at is which trends are supporting each company that we like to profile. So for them, there's a lot of things that go into it, but there's 3 that we kind of looked at today. One was kids sporting demand, another camping gear demand, and then finally fishing gear demand. Now these are seasonal, so I have to put that caveat in there. But when we look at the change from September of 6 months ago till now, there is a significant drop off in that. And even when you go on the year-over-year look, they're all around maybe flat or slightly down. So all the things that have been boosting this company have sort of started to slow down, and it's showing in demand, it's showing in the trends, and so that gives us a little bit of pause. That even goes as far as the back to school numbers that they put out last quarter. Q3 report were very strong. They cited team sports. We're showing that it was plus 51%. Now it's down to plus 24%. So everything is slowing. We're going to have a slightly negative outlook on this, but it's mostly due to the fact that they have high expectations, and I think that they're expected to continue to grow at a very strong pace. And what the data is showing us is that pace is slowing and maybe even flatlining a little bit, which investors are never going to be happy about. So this is not a LikeFolio call where we've had some in the past where we said this stock is about to get crushed. Not at all. I just think that the expectations are just a little too high, and I think they're maybe in tune for a reality check on this call.
Landon, just like a lot of retail, especially discretionary retail, they're having questions about inventories, questions about margins. You read a lot of analysts, they're all starting to bring down their numbers for the full year, down from $12 down to closer to $11.50, $11.40 is what Citi did, I believe. Yeah, it was Citigroup. So I think the street analysts are seeing the same trail off in overall demand that you are, and they're going to get questioned on how they're doing on their inventories, right? Because that's what's plagued retail and apparel up until now. And they've got to show, like Walmart did, that they're getting through some of this inventory. Target did too, didn't have the same reaction. What are you hearing? Are you seeing anything about inventories? Any talk like that? Because your numbers show what these analysts are talking about, an overall decrease in the surge of demand for
right, and they did have a surge. I mean, it was incredible.
Right.
That purchase intent chart that we showed was during COVID. It went through the roof. I mean, everybody was like, well, I'm going to get outside and do something. So that meant going to Dick's and, signing up for a league or whatever it might be and buying things. And, on the inventory, anecdotally, I can say that I remember not that long ago during the supply chain, I was trying to pick up some basketballs. I coached my boys, and they had like 3 basketballs available. Now when I go, they're stocked full. So, I'm not sure where you want to be, but I don't think it's either extreme when it comes to inventory. You want to be healthy in the middle. So I do think that could be a problem. If they did bank on this continued growth to be there for a long period of time, inventory takes a while to order and work through. So they could have a problem with inventory if the data that we're showing, and just like you talked about, all the analysts are saying, if all the demand is slowing. So again, this is not doom and gloom for Dick's Sporting Goods. I think it's a great company long term. I just think the expectations are so high, they're not going to meet them. If this stock was trading at $80 right now and had just sold off a bunch in the last few months, I'd probably be more on the bullish side saying, hey, it's not as bad as everyone thinks. But the fact that they are real close to one-year highs and everything was growing at these really nice paces, and now we're seeing flat or even negative in a couple spots, that tells me that they're not going to hit the expectations that Wall Street is setting for them.
Yeah, and your consumer, purchase intent and those mentions are down. You're starting to see that fall off in some of your metrics. Now, on the happiness level, Landon, they don't really have any competitors anymore. They're small with Hibbett Sports, and that stock's down post earnings last week. But they don't really have any competitors. Does this help them? And then on top of that, everybody wants to do experiences and travel. Well, Dick's has a bunch of segments within their industry that they provide it, whether it's camping, you mentioned fishing, some of the others. So will that kind of allay a lot of the fears for this stock going into this report?
I don't know that the experience thing is going to get them. I think that their bread and butter is going to be apparel and sports. And if a lot more people are going fishing, camping, that kind of thing, yeah, they got to buy some gear, but that's not a recurring purchase that I think you can count on from people. Whereas if you got kids sports, every season they change sizes. You got to go get the new shoes, the new clothes, get the latest and greatest equipment. So I think that's really the more important angle. When it comes to happiness, they're sitting at like high 60s. You mentioned Hibbett, they're in the mid 50s or high 50s. So they got about 10 points on them. I think they do have a very happy consumer base. I don't, generally speaking, when we look at happiness mentions around Dick's, it's not a lot of complaining about like cleanliness or products or prices or anything like that. Maybe there's some inventory concerns from like a year ago, but generally speaking, they have happy customers, so I don't think that's going to be a problem for them. And they're outperforming the competition, which is, like you said, there's not a lot, but the one that I can come up with is Hibbett's, and they're about 57%, where Dick's is about 67%.
Earnings score on this one, Landon, real quick, ahead of earnings.
Sure. It takes into account the stock price on this one. It's negative 40, which is a little bit stronger than most. But again, this is not doom and gloom. It's just high expectations are going to be hard to meet, and we don't see it happening.
All right. Great data. As usual, Landon, appreciate the rundown here at Dick's Sporting Goods.
All right, guys. Happy Monday.
All right. That's Landon Swan, co-founder of LikeFolio, helping us break down that data.